Hello and welcome to Celebrity Mastermind 1987. My name is Gordon Burns and I'll be asking all the questions here tonight. I want to introduce you all to our contestants. First of all, they are as follows: Tom Keane, who is the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland; Jerry Fitt, who used to be the former leader of the SDLP; John Hume, who is the leader of the SDLP party at the moment; and finally, Aine Paisley, the leader of the DUP. Well, this edition of Mastermind is quite similar to that of the real mind-boggling program itself. We have 2 minutes per round. The only difference is we are having 2 rounds of general knowledge questions and not including a specialized subject round. The winner will receive this lovely crystal decanter, plus 2 weeks in Beirut, and bulletproof clothing will be provided. I think you'll probably need a bit more than that over there, mind you. Can we have our first contender now, please, who is Tom Keane, and he is indeed the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. He's a married man, has been involved in politics now for too long, for a long time, and is one of Margaret Thatcher's ball lickers. He's also known for looking up ladies' skirts, and that's why he's wearing glasses, because someone shit on him. Now, Mr. Keane, you have 2 minutes on your first general knowledge round, starting from now. Famous people. John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. For what did the letter F in his name stand? I think that was Fitzgerald. Correct. In religion. In the Catholic religion, the Pope wears a white skull cap, and the bishop's skull cap is coloured violet. What colour is the cardinal's skull cap? I think it's a red colour. That's after somebody sticks a round in his head. Correct, Mr. Keane. In inventions. What did the British inventor Sir Charles Cockerell invent and develop? He invented the hovercraft. Correct. In films, who starred in the film entitled Hans Christian Andersen and sang the song The Ugly Duckling? That was Denny Kaye. Correct. Somebody singing about you, Mr. Keane. Please, Mr. Paisley, keep quiet. In politics and international political terms, what do the initials UDI stand? The Unilateral Declaration of Independence. That is correct, Mr. Keane. I thought it stayed for Ulster to test the Irish. Please, Mr. Paisley. In politics again, Mr. Keane, which American president in 1856 observed the ballot is stronger than the bullet? So, sir, that wasn't the Sinn Féin president. Please, Mr. Paisley, let Mr. Keane answer. Abraham Lincoln. Correct. In films, which individual was awarded 35 Oscars by the U.S. Academy of Motion Pictures over a period of nearly 50 years for his work in films? That was Walt Disney. That is correct, Mr. Keane. In music, which British playwright and composer who died in 1973 wrote Mad Dogs and Englishmen Go Out in the Midday Sun? Colonel Gaddafi, for fuck's sake. Del Card. Correct, Mr. Keane. In places, Sing Sing is located in New York City. What is it? It's a fucking panda, for fuck's sake. New York State Prison. Correct, Mr. Keane. In religion, in a cave, in which town in France did Bernadette Zeburius see a vision of the Virgin Mary? That was in Lourdes. Correct. No virgins in France, for fuck's sake. Famous people. He was a naval administrator born in 1633 and is most famous for keeping a daily account of the Great Fire of London and the Great Plague. Who was he? I think that was Samuel Pepys. Jerry Fitt. And at the end of that round, Mr. Keane, you have scored 10 points. Now, our next contender, please. Could we have him? Who is Jerry Fitt, who has also been in politics for a long time. He's just about married. He's also been the leader of the SDLP. Loves throwing stones at RUC and UDR Land Rovers. Mind you, with his eyesight, I doubt he's ever hit his target. I wonder what he's like in bed with his wife. I'm sure she gets a great laugh. Now, Mr. Fitt, you have 2 minutes on your first round of Celebrity Mastermind 1987, starting now. Famous people. Lee Harvey Oswald reputedly killed President Kennedy, but who killed Lee Harvey Oswald? To say it wasn't President Kennedy, anyway. I don't know who it was. It was Jack Ruby. In abbreviations, if a man appended the initials DDS to his name, to what occupation or profession would he be? He'd be a doctor or a dentist. Correct. In nicknames, what newspaper acquired the nickname The Thunderer? Was it the Workshire? No, it wasn't. It was the London Times. In driving, if a vehicle is described in an advert as FWD, what would you know about it? A Fenian is driving it. No, it means the vehicle had a four-wheel or indeed a front-wheel drive. Names. Why are policemen often given the nickname Bobbies? They called out Sir Robert Peel, who founded the force in the 19th century. Correct. In art, the Statue of Liberty holds in her left hand a tablet bearing the date of the Declaration of Independence. What does she hold in her right hand? If you hold a tablet in her left hand, it must be a fucking glass of water in the other hand. No, it isn't. It's a torch. In medicine, this is a bone of the body which, with the medical name, is given the sternum. Where is it? It's right near your house. No, I'm afraid it's not. I've never heard of a breastbone growing out of anybody's arse, Mr. Fitt. It's known as a breastbone. In astronomy, which planet in our solar system has 2 moons? One named the Probus and the smaller one named Deimos. Oh, there's Mars. Correct. In geography, which European city is known as the Bride of the Sea?
That's easy, that's Venice.
Correct. In history, Queen Elizabeth II belongs to the House of Windsor. To what royal house did Queen Victoria belong?
Was it the House in the Hill, the Amityville?
No, it wasn't. It was the House of Hanover. In the animal world, the abominable snowman, or Yeti, is a mysterious creature said to inhabit the Himalayan area. The North American continent has its own mysterious creature. By what is it known?
The Loch Ness Monster.
No, it is Bigfoot. Names, what would you have if you owned a Shih Tzu?
A zoo full of dirty filthy animals.
No, you wouldn't. You would have a dog. And at the end of that 2-minute round, Mr. Fitt, you have scored 4 points. Now, can we have our third contender, please? Who is Mr. John Hume. He, at present, is the leader of the SDLP. He had a part-time job with the DOA, mind you, shoveling shit off the streets. And judging by the smell of his breath, he's been lifting the shit with his tongue. Now, Mr. Hume, you have 2 minutes on your first round, starting from now. Sport. In rugby union terms, the New Zealanders are known as the All Blacks. Who are the Pumas? Are they known as the All Whites? No, it's Argentina. Mottos. Whose motto is "Nation shall speak peace unto nation"? Was it Ronald Reagan? No, it was the BBC. Ships and sea. In which ship did Captain Scott sail on his voyage and expedition to the Antarctic? Was it the Titanic? No, it wasn't. It was the Discovery. In names, what would a Scotchman do with a tam o' shanter? He would entertain his girlfriend with it. No, he wouldn't. He would wear it. It's a round woolen cloth cap with a baggy flat top. In religion, what day of the week is the Jewish Sabbath? Oh, that's a Saturday. Correct. In politics, who succeeded Winston Churchill as Prime Minister of Great Britain in 1945? Was it Henry Winterman? No, it wasn't. It was Clement Attlee. In literature, whose ghost hunted Macbeth in Shakespeare's play of that name? It was Banquo's ghost. Correct. In history again, in what years were the Great Plague and the Great Fire of London? In 1665 and 1666. Correct, Mr. Hume. In films, name the American film actor who won an Academy Award for his part in the film It Happened One Night, and also starred in The Mutiny on the Bounty and Gone with the Wind. That was Clark Gable. Correct. In mythology, in Greek mythology, what name was given to the race of the one-eyed giants? That was the Claps. No, it was the Cyclops. In nicknames, which football team is known by the nickname the Hammers? Is it Linfield? Because they're nothing but hot shit, man. No, it is West Ham United. In crime and punishment, Alfred Dreyfus was a Frenchman falsely accused of treason and sent to a notorious penal colony from which few escaped or survived. What was the name of this infamous prison? Was it Crumlin Road? No, it wasn't. It was the Devil's Island. In science, what is the lightest non-substance? I think it would be Jerry Fitzwallet. No, it isn't. It's actually hydrogen gas. And at the end of that round, Mr. Hume, you have scored 4 points. Now, can we have our last contender in this first round, please? Who is Zane Paisley. He's also into politics. He's the leader of the DUP, which stands for Don't Undercut Paisley when it comes to collection time. He's married with children. Don't know whether it is or not. And he's also a member of the European Parliament. Now, Mr. Paisley, you have 2 minutes on your first round, starting from now. The Prime Minister lives at number 10 Downing Street. The Chancellor of the Exchequer lives at number 11. Who lives at number 12?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if Margaret Thatcher moved Peter Barry into there.
No, it's not. It's the government's chief whip. Oh, I thought you was kinky. In driving, to which country would a vehicle belong if it carried the national registration plate with the initials SF?
Oh, I would say that's Sinn Féin, the South of Ireland.
No, actually, it's Finland. In films, who directed the film with the title Psycho?
That was Peter Sutcliffe.
No, it wasn't. It was Alfred Hitchcock. World of plants, what is another name for the vegetable known as cole?
I think that's a cabbage without the wheelchair.
Yes, well, I'll give you that one. In war and warfares, what in the World War II were the tall boys and the grand slams?
I think that was the large bombs.
Correct. In medicine, what name is given to the Chinese practice of pricking areas of the skin with needles for therapeutic purposes?
That's acupuncture.
Correct. In nicknames, who or what was given the nickname Big Bertha?
That's a German long-range gun. I was going to say it was Candy Divine.
That is correct, Mr. Paisley. In famous people, what was the name of the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
That was Quasimodo or Nicholas Scott.
Quasimodo, I'll accept. Correct. In poetry, according to the narrative poem, where would you find a green-eyed yellow idol?
You'd probably get one up the Falls Road, Mr. Burns.
No, I don't know that one. No, you would find one to the north of Kathmandu. In religion, what were the Celtic class of priests known as?
I thought they were known as left-footers, but I think they were known as droids.
Correct, Mr. Paisley. Crime and punishment. Socrates, the Greek philosopher, was sentenced to death. How was his sentence carried out?
He was hung by the testicles until all the blood ran to his head.
No, actually, he poisoned himself with hemlock. In driving, and I've started, so I'll finish. In driving, if you saw a vehicle with a green flashing light on the top, who would be inside it?
I would say it would be a doctor or the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, it would be a doctor, Mr. Paisley. At the end of that round, you have scored 8 points. Very much, Mr. Paisley. Now, can we have Tom Keane back for the second round, please? And Tom Keane, who's in the lead at the moment, with 10 points. And Mr. Keane, your second round, you have 2 minutes, starting from now. In poetry, who was responsible for writing the Pied Piper of Hamelin? Was it Roland Rat? No, it wasn't. It was the Browning. In music, with which musical instrument is the musician James Galway associated? I think that's the flute. Correct. In medicine, what part of the human body is affected by the disease conjunctivitis? It's the eyeball. Correct.
Is it the one between your legs, Mr. King?
Please, Mr. Paisley, stop interrupting. In geography, Mauna Loa, Mount Spur, Lassen Peak, and Calvin and the Mount St. Helens are all mountains in the United States of America. Which is the most significant feature of all these mountains? They're all active volcanoes which have erupted in recent times. Correct, Mr. King. In the animal world, what name is given mostly to a baby kangaroo? It's a Jerry. Correct. In theatre, who wrote the play entitled Look Back in Anger? John Osborne. Correct. In famous people, it took an American named Wiley Post 7 days and 20 hours to become the first man to do this in 1933. What did he do?
Fucking took him long enough.
He was the first man to fly solo around the world. Correct, Mr. Keane. And nicknames. Which historical feature was given the nickname Old Ironsides? Was it Steve Austin? No, it wasn't. It was Oliver Cromwell. Famous people. Who was the young Scots woman who risked her life to save Prince Charles Edward Stuart after his defeat at the hands of the Duke of Cumberland? Was it Moore Anderson? No, it wasn't. It was Flora MacDonald. In Wars and Warfare, William III of England defeated a French and Irish army in 1690 at a battle on which Irish river? That was the Battle of the Boyne. Correct. Music. George Gershwin wrote the music for a folk opera in which the cast were all Negro. What is its name? Hot Chocolate. No, it wasn't. It was Porgy and Bess. In words, Mr. Keane, who or what is a didgeridoo? I think it's someone's manhood. No, it is an Australian Aboriginal musical instrument. And at the end of that round, Mr. Keane, you have scored 8 points, and that brings your total up to 18 points. Thank you very much. And now can we have our next contestant, please, who is Mr. Jerry Fitt, who got only 4 points in the first round, but stranger things have happened. So, Mr. Fitt, you're ready for your second round. You have 2 minutes, starting from now. In medicine, what is the name for the condition of the mind that leads to an irresistible tendency to steal things? It's smash and grab. No, it's kleptomania. World of plants. Which state in the United States of America is most noted for its production of tobacco plants?
That's Virginia.
Correct. Language. In days gone by, if a Scotsman referred to a man as a Johnny Ged's Hole, what trade or occupation would he have?
What's that Johnny Gets His Hole? I haven't an inch about that, Mr. Fitt.
No, I'm afraid you've got the question, you've picked it up wrong, Mr. Fitt. I'll read it again. In days gone by, if a Scotsman referred to a man as Johnny Ged's Hole, what trade or occupation would he have?
Oh, fuck, I haven't a clue.
He would be known as a gravedigger, Mr. Fitt. In abbreviations and military terms, for what do the initials ADC stand for?
Stands for Eddie Camp.
Correct. In science, what name is given to the study of earthquakes and tremors?
It's called seismology.
Correct, Mr. Fitt. In names, what kind of creatures were the Canary Islands named after?
Was it budgies?
No, it wasn't. It was actually dogs. In mythology, what did the monstrous three-headed dog Zebrius guard?
The three-headed cat.
No, it wasn't. It was the gates of hell. Clothes. If you were wearing a Sam Brown, what would you have on?
A dirty old bastard called Sammy Brain.
No, in fact, it would be a belt with a strap over the right-hand shoulder. In poetry, if Monday's child is fair of face, what did the unknown poet say about Tuesday's child?
Tuesday's child was a spoiled brat.
No, Tuesday's child is full of grace. In science, what element with the atomic number 82 is given the chemical symbol of Pb?
What the fuck are you on about, Mr. Burns? What sort of fucking questions that you ask anybody?
It's simply lead, Mr. Fitt. Obviously, you didn't get that one at the end of that round. You have only scored, it's very little, I could count it up in my little hand, I've only got 2 fingers on it. You have scored 3 points, Mr. Fitt.
Okay, well, I could score more than that.
No, I'm afraid not. You have scored only 3 points. And Mr. Fitt will have to take a seat again. And now we're going straight to John Hume, who is our next contestant. And he only scored 4 points as well in the first round. So now it's his second round, and it's a chance for Mr. Hume to try and make some points here. Mr. Hume, you have 2 minutes in your second round, starting from now. In geography, Mount Helge and Skretz are active volcanoes. In which country of the world are they? Is it Northern Ireland, the Mourne Mountains? No, they're not. They are in fact in Iceland. In art, oil paints are made by grinding dry pigments in oil. What kind of oil is generally used in this medium? Is it Castrol GTX? No, it's linseed oil. Famous people. Who led the Chinese forces against the Japanese during World War II? Was it Yoko Ono? No, it wasn't. It was General Chiang Kai-shek. Animal world. It is a large humped animal with long silky hair, found wild and domesticated in Tibet. Name it. Is it Smith? No, it's not. It's a yak. World of plants. The whortleberry and the windberry are other names for which wild fruit? Jeremy Thorpe. No, it's not. It's the bilberry. In literature, in Dickens' novel Oliver Twist, who was the elderly criminal who taught the street urchins how to rob and steal and pickpocket? Was it Nigel Lawson? No, it wasn't. It was Fagin. In films, which film star is associated with the phrase, "Here's looking at you, kid"?
Okay, Blue Eyes.
I think that's Humphrey Bogart. Correct, Mr. Hume. In medicine, which organ of the body is affected by Bright's disease? Is it your eyes? No, it isn't. It's your kidneys. In inventions, which inventor is accredited with the discovery of both the electric lamp and the gramophone? Billy Bright. No, it wasn't. It was Thomas Alva Edison. Places, which city in the United Kingdom is known by the nickname Old Ricky? Is it the Conserwater? No, it's indeed Edinburgh. And at the end of that round, Mr. Hume, you scored only 1 point, I'm afraid, and that brings your grand total to 5. So please take your seat, Mr. Hume. So now can we have Wayne Paisley back, please? He's indeed our last contestant. And Mr. Paisley, I believe, in the first round scored 8 points. So this is his second round, and indeed he's got 2 minutes in the second round, starting from now. In the animal world, what is a male honeybee known as?
A sticky customer.
No, it's a drone. Famous people. Who was the American Negro leader who was assassinated at Memphis, Tennessee in 1968?
Oh, that was Martin Luther King. I was glad to see that.
Correct, Mr. Paisley. Animal world, the crane fly has a nickname which describes its appearance very accurately. What is its nickname?
It's Daddy Longlegs.
Correct, Mr. Paisley. The quotations. What password did Ali Baba use to gain entry to the cave of the 40 thieves?
Fish and chips.
No, it was not, Mr. Paisley. I'm afraid it was Open Sesame. In history, on the 15th of April 1912, over 1,000 lives were lost in one dramatic and disastrous accident. What happened?
Sorrel Smith dropped a lung.
No, I'm afraid not. The Titanic struck an iceberg on her maiden voyage in the North Atlantic. In films, who played the part of Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther film?
That was Peter Sellers.
Correct, Mr. Paisley. In language, it is or was equally known as a pop shop. What is it?
That's another name for a sex shop.
No, it's in fact known as a pawnbroker's, Mr. Paisley. In politics, Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister of Great Britain in 1979. What was her middle name? Or what is her middle name?
Her middle name is Sellout.
No, it's Hilda. In names, what or who or what is a mandrill?
That's a West African baboon.
Correct. Customs and traditions. What kind of dancing is traditionally associated with Tom Piper?
Morris dancing.
Correct, Mr. Paisley. Famous people. To which Highland clan did the Scottish outlaw Rob Roy belong?
Nigel Lawson.
No, it wasn't. It was the McGregor or the Campbell clan. In the animal world, the cheetah is the fastest thing in 4 legs. What is reputed to be the fastest thing in 2 legs?
A Biafran after a luncheon biter.
No, in fact, it is an ostrich. The 2 minutes was up there, but I started, so I had to finish it. And at the end of that round, Mr. Paisley, you've scored 5 points. And that's bringing your grand total up to 13 points. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've just got the results now through. That Mr. Paisley, with 13 points, John Hume, incidentally, was last. It wouldn't surprise me, he's a bit of a bin lid anyway, with 5 points. Jerry Fitt has only got 8 points. And tonight's winner, without a doubt, is Mr. Tom Keane. So, Mr. Keane, can you please come out and collect your tickets? Well, Mr. Keane, that was a tremendous, your 2 tickets to Beirut, and this lovely glass here, crystal decanter, which is hand-cut. You can see the chips all round it. It's a lovely prize, one which is well worth the putting in your attic. Yes, obviously, it is a lovely presentation. I'm very delighted to win the Mastermind thing, and I would like to send this particular crystal decanter to charity, if it's... Oh, yes, well, that would be very fine indeed, Mr. Keane. What charity have you nominated? Well, I believe that charity begins at home. Oh, I see, Mr. Keane, that seems to be your attitude. Oh, fuck, I've dropped the bastard thing. Oh, dear, I'm sorry about that. Mr. Keane has dropped his decanter there. Oh, fuck, what have we got in? Have you got another one?
Ah, you stupid bastard. Look at you done, you stupid bastard. Oh, fucking let it see that. Oh, who the fuck was that? Mr. Keane, you further?
No, I did not.
Fucking spray it, you dirty bastard.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to leave it here. It's a catastrophe on the stage. But from Mastermind 1987, we leave it. Mr. Tom Keane is the outright winner. There's absolute rage here. There's murder. Mr. Paisley is kicking fit all over the place. And mind you, I'm delighted to see it. So, that's the end of it for Mastermind 1987. The winner's Tom Keane. So all the best and good night and God bless.
Gentlemen, and welcome to the chat show and be my guest. My name's John Cole, and I'll be hosting this program for you. Well, we have 3 guests for you tonight. First one being a man very much in the news. Well, he's done a lot for charity and has been heavily involved in famine relief. I must also say he's not too fond of the old Bic razor blade. He is none other than Sir Bob Geldof himself. Can we have Mr. Geldof?
Thank you very much, Mr. Cole. Thank you.
Now, Bob, how many charity aids have you done altogether, roughly?
Well, I think about too many. I've completely exhausted myself. I haven't even had time to shite. I'm not really sure how many's been done. Really, I couldn't tell you.
Well, could you tell us how much cash you've raised?
I know I've raised cash, pardon me, but that's about all I've raised. I've done very little else. That's why my wife's done more runners than Steve Ovett.
I'm sure it must be billions.
What men's you run off? You're probably right.
How do you feel, Bob, about what you've done for famine relief? I'm sure you must be very pleased.
Sure, I'm pleased. Sure, I've what I've done, but I've left myself fucking skinned for a start. I mean, those niggers out there even took my last pair of underpants, and whoever's got them will be in for one hell of a shock, so they will.
You haven't, Mr. Geldof, have you?
Yes, Mr. Cole, I have. I've left my autograph in the undercarriage in brown ink.
Now, Bob, to change things a bit, do you and your wife, Paula, get much time alone?
No, sure, I am only her bit inside. I mean, I'm after a portable mattress to strap to her back, because she likes to get around in comfort. There's even pop friends of mine who have nicknamed her Quality Street because she's made for Sharon.
Now, do you ever get fed up with all this running about and maybe stick to the pop music? Do you not want to stick to that side of it?
Sometimes I get fed up. Last year I was there. There was loads of wogs, 2.5 stones heavier than me. They were even better clothed than me. Then overall condition, they were better looked after than me. I was that bad looking that one of them asked me did I want the length of their belt to hold up my own trousers. I mean, I felt if that had been black, you'd have come over and you'd have given me a fucking handful of rice. I was really, really terrible looking after all the running about.
Now, getting away from the famine situation, how do you relax?
Well, sometimes I play detective to see who Paula's fingered, and I mean that literally. And that helps to get my day in.
You don't seem to have a very high opinion on your wife.
Well, you tell me who has, Mr. Cole. I mean, my wife runs about with fucking Tom, Dick and Harry, and you expect me to say that she's like Queen Victoria? Well, she's far from it. She's a real dirty beast.
Well, I'm sure she takes it after you, Mr. Geldof, but nevertheless, we hope that you stay with us here because we're going to bring on our second guest, Mr. Geldof. But firstly, ladies and gentlemen, let's show our appreciation there for Mr. Geldof for joining us tonight. Now, to our second guest, he's a man who's been in politics since hope is bred, I would say. He's also a reverend, and a big one at that. He is none other than the Reverend N. Paisley MP. Welcome, Mr. Paisley, to the chat show and Be My Guest.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cole. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, firstly, I've always wanted the opportunity to have an interview with you.
Jesus, fuck, I feel as though I'm in Castlereagh Holding Centre already. Don't be saying that, mister. Don't say that word interview, Mr. Cole.
Well, all right, if it makes you feel any better, I'll not say it. Now, I take it you know Mr. Geldof here.
Yes, I have. I do know him. I've had acquaintances with him. Mind you, he hasn't changed much. He's still a scruffy bastard.
Well, that leaves a lot to be desired. He's got a new suit on there.
He must have went to Elliott's to hire it out.
Well, I don't know where he's went to get it.
Just hold on a minute, Mr. Cole. I get a wee drink.
I noticed you took that out of your pocket there. What is that?
That's teacher's. Teacher's whiskey. Scotch. Something but the best.
Well, no, I hope you're not planning to get drunk tonight, Mr. Paisley.
I'm not planning to get drunk at all.
Now, Mr. Paisley, do you enjoy being a leading figure in Northern Ireland?
Well, Mr. Cole, as you know, I'm a leading figure in more places than Northern Ireland. But to answer your question, yes, I do enjoy it. It's a very demanding role which is upon me, but then again, it's one that I must fulfill for the sake of the Protestants in Northern Ireland.
Yes, I see. You're very much in the thick of this Anglo-Irish agreement at the moment. What are you aiming to do with it or about it?
Well, I thought we'd get into this. I thought you would mention that. Well, I want it scrapped through paperwork or tax if it's necessary. If it's not to be scrapped, as I have stated, then we'll have to resort to violence.
What if Maryfield was closed down, Mr. Paisley? Would you feel a wee bit better off for that?
No, it wouldn't, Mr. Cole. I wouldn't feel any better. I don't want Maryfield closed down, Mr. Cole. I and the Protestants in Ulster want Maryfield fucking burned down. That's what we want.
Oh, well, surely that's an incitement to violence, Mr. Paisley, is it not? I mean, you're meant to be leading a demonstration to your people to show that you not only achieve things by violence.
Well, Mr. Cole, Margaret Thatcher and her bit on the side have signed the incitement to violence which is erupted in our province by putting pen to paper in Dublin with Peterborough.
What do you think you'd have done if you hadn't become a politician?
Well, knowing the things that I know now, I think I would like to have been an executioner in the south of Ireland, or maybe a fly on the walls of 10 Downing Street. And you know what they say about flies? They shite and vomit every time they land, so I wouldn't be off Maggie Thatcher's face.
Yes, I see. I'm sure Margaret Thatcher wouldn't take too kindly to that, Mr. Paisley.
I don't give a fuck what Margaret Thatcher thinks.
Now, what's your thoughts on Mr. Keane and Mrs. Thatcher, or need I ask you?
Well, you needn't ask me, but I detest both of them. They cause nothing but trouble in this country. They make decisions for others and don't conform to what other people want. And to me, they're like Mara Henley and Mr. fucking Ian Brady.
Now, Mr. Paisley, I don't want to kick up a dust here, but do you have any involvement in this Kincora sex scandal?
No, I have not, and I was not involved in it, and you damn well know it. Anyway, I was told if you're caught in the grounds of Kincora House, you're liable to a welt in the mouth, and there's a man at Ido who's had more welts in his mouth than Frank Bruno, but I'm not going to mention his name.
Well, we'll not bother about that. We'll leave that for now.
Sorry about that.
Now, what about the attitudes of people in Northern Ireland today? Are they more friendly?
Well, they still play tig with hatchets, but that doesn't make them unfriendly. That's their way of making friends.
Well, I don't think I would fancy making friends with anybody in Northern Ireland, Mr. Paisley, although I wouldn't like to fall out with any of you.
Says, well, you said that, Mr. Cole.
Now, well, I hear that you are making a new single, Mr. Paisley.
Yes, well, I would like to give it a little plug later on.
Now, it's about Margaret Thatcher and Tom King.
Yes, it is.
Now, what about the defeat of the IRA out of Ulster?
Well, Margaret Thatcher certainly intends to keep the provos in our land, simply because of the money she pours into the housing executive. That, in order, gives new homes to the Short Strand and the New Lodge Road. Why doesn't she build them houses in the Republic of Ireland where they belong? Or better still, why does she build houses at all? I mean, if they fight dirty, let them live dirty. Well, fight houses.
We'll see. Now, well, I don't think that would be a bit unfair, because Margaret Thatcher would come under a lot of criticism.
Sure, she comes under criticism for the IRA. Anyway, Mr. Cole just got fuck all the loss. Maybe her virginity if she comes over here to me.
Now, we'll get off that quickly there. Now, I can remember when you and Mr. Hume were good friends, Mr. Paisley. Do you ever get together?
Well, that's true to a certain extent, I must admit, Mr. Hume used to buy the drinks in 1969. But you couldn't get a fucking drink out of him now. He's a tight-fisted bastard. It's that mingy. He collects his own urine and recycles it. He could peel an orange in his fucking pocket. No, Mr. Hume's an enemy of Ulster, and will remain so until he sees the light.
Who do you consider a real friend in the world of politics?
Well, it must surely be Peter Robinson, simply because if and when I pass away, he'll be taken over the hot seat. And I must warn the opposition that he won't be beating anyone with a tickling stick. It'll be more like a stick of dynamite. He'll be the new Gaddafi of Ulster.
And again, that's another incitement to violence. But surely Mr. Robinson is a very heavily outspoken man. I mean, he went to Clintippet there in an illegal march or whatever, your demonstration, and he was fined 15,000. Now, he paid that fine. But when he was up in the north, he never paid a fine. That's recently in the media. He never paid a £25 for his car tax.
Oh, Mr. Robinson can do whatever he wants, Mr. Cole. He's a free agent. I mean, you've got nothing to do with him, and I haven't got anything to do with him. He's a very good friend of mine, and what he does with his money is his own business.
Right. Now, Bob Geldof, how do you react whenever you hear of violence on the streets of Ulster?
Well, I make for under the fucking table. No, I'm only joking. I hate to see trouble in the streets of Northern Ireland. I mean, I'm I've got a lot of friends out there. I would say I've made acquaintances with the likes of Hee-Haw Hockey and Garth Fitzceltic. And they're not what I would call friends, Mr. Geldof. No, I haven't as yet, but I'm sure I could make the effort.
I'll smack a fucking face.
Now, Mr. Paisley, please wise up.
I'll break his fucking back. How dare him go behind the backs of people of Ulster and talk to that dirt?
Mr. Paisley, you no need to give me a dig in the mouth.
I'll stick my boot right in your rib cage, you bastard. You.
Now, gentlemen, please, Mr. Paisley, control yourself. You're not meant to do this. There's a chat show. It's meant to be a friendly atmosphere in here, not one of the South v the North.
Bastard he is. But then again, I forgot that Mr. fucking Geldof is too busy feeding the niggers and putting knickers on their horses. It's time you done something for this country and let the niggers sort out their own country and their own problems.
But how are they going to do that? How are they going to live without food and clothing, Mr. I mean, you're really taking a very, very moral stand at this.
Fuck, you can't eat clothes, Mr. Geldof. And as for something to eat, there's plenty of grassroots and there's plenty of carcasses to be sucked.
Well, I think that's really, really harsh, Mr. Cole.
Well, it is a bit, Mr. Paisley, you are being a bit harsh. Well, I think we'll introduce our third guest now. So stay with us, Mr. Paisley, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Certainly, it's been no problem. It has been with him, but everything else has been all right.
Well, our third guest, he's a man who used to be very heavily into politics himself, but has ceased and moved now to London to live. He is also a lord, which might give you a good clue as to who he is.
Oh, I'd say it's Squinty Sweet himself.
Yes, indeed it is Mr. Lord Fitt.
Pardon me.
Well, welcome, Lord Fitt, to be my guest on the taxi.
Well, just call me Johnny. Fuck a Lord Fitt. I'm glad to be here, Mr. Cole, because it's fuck all that's to do. I might as well make myself a few bob.
Yes, well, you're right. There'll only be a few bob, mind you. Well, firstly, Mr. Fitt, I'd like to ask you why you moved to London after such a long time in Northern Ireland.
Well, I thought I'd done all I could for Northern Ireland, plus things were getting a wee bit overheated.
That house of yours in Antrim Road was the only thing that was over fucking heated. After your own flock turned it into an all-night bonfire, Mr. Fitt, tell the truth, it was an absolute disgrace.
Mr. Paisley, I'm sure Mr. Fitt can answer his own questions. Now, we want to get off that subject for the moment, Mr. Fitt. What do you do now that you're not into politics? How do you pass your time?
Well, I do odd jobs about the house. I do odd jobs for panthers, like mowing their lawns and cutting their hedges,
Cut their fucking throats more like it.
Please, Mr. Paisley, let him speak. Now, how do you find it living in London as to living in Northern Ireland?
Well, for a start, I can't get a sleep at night, 'cause it's far too quiet. So I hired someone to throw bricks and bottles at our windows and doors. So that way I feel as though I'm at home back in Northern Ireland. So that way I get a decent tip.
That's really intriguing, that. Is there anything else that you find strange living in London?
Yes, there's a lot of niggers in it, a lot of Chinks, Pakistanis, all sorts. There's people in London, every time they hear me talking, they think, oh, he's Irish, he must be an IRA man.
Sure you were you not?
No, I was not. I must admit my eye let me down. Or I might have joined up, but, I mean, with my bad eyesight, there was times I was holding a rifle back to front, and other times I was looking down a telescopic sight with my bad eye. See, my guess where some of the bullets were flying, so I was booted out.
Well, I would love to know how you got your hands on a personal issue weapon, Mr. Fitt.
Well, I asked for it because my life was in fucking danger.
Your bollocks, who the fuck would want to waste a bullet in you, you bastard? You
Gentlemen, please, Mr. Paisley, don't get... What are you doing there?
more fucking liquor, that's what I'm doing. Fucking down a thirst. Hold on a minute. Oh, Jesus, that's great gear, that. That's great. Oh, well, as for Fit saying his life was in danger, I can't get over that. I would say your life was more in danger living in that dirty museum of yours. The fucking rats had to have stilts to get across your dirty carpet.
Now, gentlemen, please, Mr. Paisley, cut the bickering out here. Now, Mr. Fit, what has been your most embarrassing moment, do you reckon?
Well, most embarrassing moment. Now, well, this was very true indeed. And my most embarrassing moment was when I was the leader of the FDLP, and we were at a meeting in the City Hall in Belfast, about 8 years ago, it was. We were talking about dogs' excreta on our pavements. In other words, dog shite, for those who don't understand, on the pavements. But as the meeting went on, I myself felt like a shite. So I made my way to the toilet, and I got into this wee cubicle, sat on the pat, and did what comes natural. For the first, mainly. But that's not the embarrassing part. The next thing, I turned round to get paper to wipe my house. And fucking Lord and behold, there was no fucking paper.
So what did you wipe your posterior with?
Well, there was hand dryers on the wall. So you can imagine the shape I was in order to get my fucking house dry. Fuck, when I got home, I got a hammer and bolster to my dingleberries. And you should have seen the fucking shape of me then. I had to look in a mirror. But I know.
What are you talking about now?
Well, by the time I was finished with the hammer and bolster, both eyes were fucked.
I'm sure your fucking arse was in a queer state, Mr. Fit.
I couldn't shite for a week after that. And mind you, when I did eventually shite, I thought it was laced with fucking lumps of glass and you cut the fucking house right off. I mean, I'll never ever forget that.
Yes, I'm sure you wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't forget an incident like that in a hurry either. What about you, Mr. Paisley? Have you ever had any embarrassing moments?
Yes, I have. I've had quite a few embarrassing moments, but I don't think this was fit for the air, Mr. Cole, really.
Well, what about the song of yours? Do you want to sing a few bars of this new number you've got? Going to sing. We're going to get Mr. Paisley to sing a few lines of his new single. I don't know whether you've got a name for the single or not.
Yes, well, the name of the single is Fuck Thatcher and King. That's the title.
Well, now, Mr. Paisley's going to give us a few bars of this. Right, Mr. Paisley? 1, 2, 3, go.
Puff the magic dragon that lives by the sea. Puff the magic dragon, her name is Maggie. She lives in Downing Street in at number 10. And that is not her house, but that is her den. So puff, traitor Thatcher, 'cause that's all you are. You make decisions with Tom Keane because you are in power. But we'll send this message to Mr. Keane and you to say that Ulster will remain red, white and blue. Oh, puff, Mrs. Thatcher, 'cause you're out of steam. The decisions you're making is making Ulster scream. So we are telling you now to wise up a bop, or else you and Mr. Keane is going to get the chap. So puff the magic dragon what lives by the sea. Puff the magic dragon, her name is Maggie.
Hi, Mr. Paisley, that was marvellous there. Lovely number. I think that should rocket into number 1, that.
Well, I actually wasted about 6 weeks to write that. And that's how I feel about Thatcher and Mr. Keane. They are traitors and everything. Beg your pardon. And everything else. Apart from that, they're bastards.
Now, Mr. Paisley, have you had any embarrassing moments? You say you have.
Yes, well, something quite similar actually happened to me the last time I was interviewed by you yourself, Mr. Cole, on the Spittin Politics program. I was, I must admit, doing a lot of farting until I eventually asked where the toilets were. And incidentally, no one there was aware at the time, but I'd shit myself. And it was everywhere. All down my legs, all over my trousers. It was fucking stinking. But anyway, after an unusual walk to my car that night, I decided to give the trousers that I'd shit into Oxfam. But I heard through the grapevine, Mr. Cole, and this is very true, that Jerry Adams, bought my trousers, shite no, and give them to a Republican hunger striker in jail to make him feel at home.
Well, I don't know whether I'd believe that or not. I'm sure you were humming, Mr. Bill.
Humming? I was fucking singing, for fuck's sake.
Well, now, let's get off this shitty subject. Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's fuck. I'm sorry about that. Honest to God. If Mr. James, I'll fucking biff you.
Get that spray out. He's fucking stinking. You're fucking stinking, Jerry. Sit away over there.
All right, I'm moving now. Moving. Fuck's sake. Not even allowed to fucking sit there.
You dirty wee bastard, you. That's typical Republicanism.
Now, Mr. Paisley, we'll have to get Mr. Fitt back. Come on back, Jerry.
Cunt bastard.
Sit down there. You're humming, actually. Now, let's get off this shitty subject for the moment, Mr. Paisley. Now, how do you enjoy a good night out?
Well, I like to go to Chinese and have a beef curry and a drink.
Fuck every bit of one. You shit yourself.
Now, Mr. Fitt, I told you about interrupting me. Now, will you shut your fucking face?
Hey, Lord, a minute. Hey, Lord. Bit of guinea, let a bit of the bit of gold.
Now, gentlemen, please contain yourself. Mr. Paisley, get off him.
Punch that tummer up over his fucking head. Well, that night, to be true, was a night I did shite myself as well, but before I was interrupted, that's a starter to my night out. I have often went to dances.
Do you bring the wife Eileen with you?
Oh, I do not bring her because she can't dance for a start, and she doesn't dig into her purse either. She's very costly.
Mr. Fitt, what about you? I want your view on the media, papers in particular. There's nothing wrong with the papers you say, but has there been any incidents at all that they have given you a bad write-up?
No, there's nothing wrong with the papers. They've always given me a very good write-up. They've been very, very kind to me indeed.
Any paper that's ever give you a fucking write-up, Mr. Fitt, must have been the Sallians, the War Cry, or the fucking Beano, for fuck's sake.
There's nothing wrong with those papers, Mr. Paisley.
It's all right, I suppose, if you're stuck to wipe your arse.
Now, what do you think of the papers, Mr. Paisley?
Well, I must stress that papers do go on overboard sometimes. With their fairy stories, they have to lie to get their papers sold.
Any particular paper?
Oh, yes, that snatter went down like the Titanic. Yes, well, I would say the News of the World is the most disgraceful paper ever I came across. They're a shower of bastards because of the terrible set out for horse racing results. And they never give my team, QPR, Queen's Park Rangers, a decent write-up.
Any particular reason why you support QPR?
Yes, the Q's for the Queen, the P's for Paisley, and the R's for resistance. Resistance to the Anglo-Irish Agreement.
Mr. Fitt, who do you support?
Well, I support Cliftonville. They're a marvellous team. Do you ever see them playing? They're marvellous.
Fuck's sake, they took those calibers off and got out of those wheelchairs and might be better.
Well, now, gentlemen, listeners, and everybody else, Mr. Geldof, who's nearly fell asleep there, I would like to thank everyone for making this program possible. I would like to thank everyone for coming on, Mr. Paisley, Jerry Fitt, and Bob Geldof. So the program's at an end now, and we would like to thank everyone for tuning in, and I hope to be on here maybe sometime next year, or maybe next month. So all the best, and thank you very much.